What is up, hooligans? Happy freedom. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans, where we try to make the news suck a little less. I appreciate you guys all being here. Make sure you hit that like button. Get us on the front page. More likes, more hooligans. I'm going to read through the schedule really quick, and then we'll check on all the chats. Well, KJP is supposed to be on stage in 8 minutes. We'll see how that goes. I assume she'll be late. She's always late. We have a video titled Bronx Daycare Death, New York NYPD discovers trap door with fentanyl at site. So we covered this story the other day about the daycare having a kid die and all the drug stuff, but they didn't know hardly anything. Now they got the details. So we're following up on that story. Then we have a video titled 2 Killed When a Bus Carrying High Schoolers Crashes in New York. They don't even know what happened. They think that it was a faulty wheel or something. The bus rolled, 2 people died. The whole bus was full of kids, like 40-something kids. Everybody was injured. 16 people went to the hospital. No good. They don't know what happened. I don't know. They don't know what happened. Then we have another follow-up story. It's titled 911 Call Released from Military Pilot Who Ejected from the F-35 Fighter Jet. Again, we covered this story a couple days ago. They didn't know anything. They still don't sound like they know anything. This video is more hilarious than it is providing information. You're hearing the 911 call. Whoever the operator is at 911, they should be fired because they're an idiot. They couldn't take an order at Taco Bell. Yeah, I feel bad for whoever lives in that area because people are dying while she's over there asking questions on the dispatch. But that's what we have today. We're going to try and get through all these videos before KJP gets on stage. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's the plan. And we're going to read through the chat, make sure everything is running smoothly. What's up, everyone, over on jeffmaclive.com. Happy freedom. Dan, you got on to Gilded? Did you apply? Did I approve your application? Let me take a gander really quick. Oh, yeah, there you go. Good to go. All right, just checking to make sure. Welcome to Gilded. What's up, 10 Man? What's up, Donna Sparks? What's up, Hair Juicer? Happy freedom. Appreciate you being here. Hair Juicer, you see Gage Grouse, or whatever his name is, got ran over. I did not see that. The guy from the Kyle trial? I did not see that. Well, what goes around comes around. I don't know what else to say about it. 10 Man, you know you love KJP. You know you love her. What's up, everyone, over on Rumble? Happy freedom. See what's going on here. What? Hold on a second. No, we're running good. What is going on? Where's everybody at? Grab this link really quick. What's up, Snooks? What's up, Ghostly? What's up, Seppa? What's up, Undercrofter? What's up, Girth? What's up, Dawn? What's up, Speedy Girl? Happy freedom, you hooligans. What's up, Terror? What's up, Thistlebeard? Appreciate you being here. What's up, Cricket? What's up, Screaming Eagle? Happy freedom. What's up, Get Some J? You just snuck in right at the last second there. Oh, Odyssey. Are we running? Oh, we're running. They were having issues the last couple days, but it looks like they got it fixed. So we're looking good over on Odyssey. What's up, everyone, over on Kick? Happy freedom. What's up, DeRosa? What's up, Tom Tom? What's up, Cat's Eye? Appreciate you guys being here. And what about Twitch? My browser's being ridiculous today. Having to refresh all these pages. What's up, everyone, over on Twitch? Happy freedom. And GoofTube. What's up, everyone, over on GoofTube? Happy freedom. Let's see. Rumble is better. Ciao. What's up, AB? Happy freedom. What's up, everyone, over on YouTube? Oh my god, I can't pin my post because the stupid emoji thing. Tis what tis. Happy freedom, all of you hooligans. Alright, we're going to get started. I really doubt KJP is going to be right on time. That would be the first time ever. So we're going to start with this first video titled Bronx Daycare Death. NYPD discovers trap door with fentanyl at site. First, I want to remind you guys, go get you a Free the Orange Eagle t-shirt. We got t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, zipper hoodies, coffee mugs, all that stuff. Go check that out. If that's not your design, then go ahead and give a try to the Screaming Goat. Let everybody know you love freedom. You can check out all that stuff over at the merch store. I will drop that stuff in the chat, drop the links in the chat, so you can go check all that stuff out. All the different designs, the bars and stars design, all that stuff can be found at the merch store. I'll put the link in the chat while you guys are watching the video.
Children were exposed to. The investigation continues at the Bronx daycare. Children were exposed to fentanyl, taking the life of a 1-year-old boy.
Yeah, just a tragic case, and now we're learning shocking new details about the apartment hosting those children, where police found a trapdoor full of drugs and narcotics. We want to go now to Robert Moses. He is joining us with the latest from the investigation in the Kingsbridge Heights section of the Bronx. Good morning, Robert.
Dan and Tashani, good morning to you. A memorial sits here outside of the daycare center where exactly 1 week ago today 4 children were sickened. One of them died. To outsiders, this facility appeared clean and safe, but beneath the floor, detectives made a horrifying discovery. The operator of the Divino Nino daycare, 36-year-old Gray Mendez, and the man who was renting a room from her, 41-year-old Carlisto Acevedo Brito, remain in federal custody. Authorities are still looking for Mendez's husband. On Wednesday, as detectives executed a search warrant at the daycare facility on Morris Avenue, they made a startling discovery: a trap door in the play area that hid more fentanyl, other narcotics, and drug paraphernalia. In one of the pictures that police provided, children's toys sat just inches away from the trap floor. 1 week ago today, according to a criminal complaint, fentanyl poisoned 4 children at the facility between 8 months old and 2 years old. One of them, 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici, died.
It was upsetting because they're supposed to take care of the baby, the children.
Instead, authorities allege that Mendez, her husband, and Acevedo Brito ran a drug operation. Before police discovered the trapdoor, they found a kilo of fentanyl inside of a bag that was stacked on top of pieces of a children's playmat and 2 kilo press machines. According to the criminal complaint, Mendez made 2 calls to her husband before calling 911. A surveillance camera captured him exiting the facility with what appeared to be 2 shopping bags weighed down with contents before emergency personnel arrived. Mendez allegedly deleted more than 21,000 messages from an encrypted messaging app that she used to communicate with him between March 30th, 2021 and last Friday. The crime has shaken this neighborhood.
That's terrible. So I think so the city need to check every daycare in the area.
Victor Fabiano and his wife run a daycare center nearby. This tragedy hit him personally and professionally.
We've been doing things the way we normally do it. I mean, because this is an exception, but it's going to be hard for everybody. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be changing for all the other daycares. They're probably going to be inspecting a lot more, looking for a lot more, and who knows what else they will come up with. But I understand.
The idea that babies played on a floor with a trap door that concealed poison is hard to fathom.
You bring your children to a daycare and you expect them to be taken care of.
Of course, we now know that was not the case here. The next court date for Mendez and Acevedo Brito is October 5th. This morning, police confirmed for me that they are still looking for Mendez's husband. Dan, back to you.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much.
No good. Drug house daycare. That one woman said they should go through and check all the daycares in town. That sounds like a good idea. I mean, I don't know how it all works anyways. I don't know if these people get inspected or not. That's terrible, though. Out there running a drug house, you got strange people renting rooms in your daycare. Husband dips out, most likely carrying, I don't know, their big stash from what it sounded like. They can't find him. She deleted all the messages. I don't know. The woman sounds like she deserves the death penalty. Putting everybody in danger. She's just a bad person. Well, they all are. They're all a bunch of bad people running some sort of organized crime, really, to a small degree. What's up, all the hooligans that just ran in through the door? We had 9 people on Rumble. We watched the video, we come back, 115 people. Welcome. Appreciate you guys being here. J-Rub, I'd be showing up with a whole bag of freedom seeds. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people even try to get away with that. Like, they needed to pick a side. You either wanted to be Scarface and run drugs and stuff, or you wanted to run a daycare. Like, that's not a job where you should be doing both. Appeal to heaven, deleting messages isn't hard to get back. I think the police can do a FOIA. I think they can write Meta and pull a FOIA and have those messages retrieved. Meta owns all kinds of stuff. And if I don't think they specified what app. They said it was an encrypted app. So I'm assuming it was either Telegram or WhatsApp. More people use WhatsApp than Telegram, and WhatsApp's owned by Facebook. Screaming Eagle, send that kilo to Philly. Problem solved. Philadelphia is the zombie land right now. What's up, Prison Hug? Happy freedom. Prison Hug, it wasn't a daycare, it was a drugstore. I'm saying. All the addicts are going to be in the street crying. You took our daycare away. 2 pros of the RX romper room. It's terrible. Let's run through the chat really quick before we move forward. I'm keeping an eye on this White House press briefing deal over here. She's 3 minutes late, but I don't expect her to be on stage anyways. Not on time. Fitzy, you can't find the chat on Rumble. You have to be signed in. If you have to have an account and you have to be signed in. Actually, you have to have an account, have the account verified. They send you an email to verify your account. And then you have to be logged in order to see the chat. What's up, Gonzo? Happy freedom. Appreciate you being here. What's up, F-Body Bill? Happy freedom. Alright, we're going to move forward. I think we got enough time. I also just realized that we missed the Pledge of Allegiance. I want to start doing it at the beginning, but I get sidetracked. All the technical problems get acknowledged at the beginning of the live, and I got sidetracked. So we'll be doing it at the end, just like we used to. We probably got enough time to get this next one in. It's titled 2 Killed When Bus Carrying High Schoolers Crashes in New York. This is just like everything else we've been covering. Nobody knows what happened. Freak accident. People died. Details are yet to be determined. I'm convinced that people's brains don't work anymore. Just wait till we get to this 911 call. You're going to be like, what? If I was in an emergency and the operator was sounding like that idiot, I'd be handling problems myself. Anyways, we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's get this started.
The tragic bus crash in New York. 2 people were killed when a charter bus carrying a high school marching band overturned on the highway. Our transportation correspondent Gio Benitez is outside the trauma center where students are recovering. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Michael, good morning to you. This is where some of the most critically injured students are being treated right now. And this morning we know that one of those 2 killed was the band director. Overnight, 2 massive tow trucks pulling that charter bus from a ravine. Just hours after it careened off a New York highway, killing 2 people and injuring all 40 high school students on board, sending at least 16 of them to the hospital. The charter bus en route from Long Island heading to band camp in Pennsylvania. An NTSB investigation is now underway. 15-year-old Anthony Eugenio was on that bus.
I heard him start screaming, and then I felt it. As soon as I picked my head up, the kid next to me was covered in blood. I saw blood everywhere.
It was just after 1 p.m. when the coach bus rolled over and down an embankment along I-84 in Wawayanda, New York.
Bus rollover VA with ejection. 84 eastbound.
On the scene, backpacks tossed beside a piece of that crashed bus and a ladder used by rescuers to reach students through the side windows.
The fire department comes in and is extremely helpful, taking the patients out of windows, breaking windows, whatever they have to do to get people out.
But what caused the crash?
While it's preliminary, it is likely that a faulty front tire contributed to the accident, although, again, this is still under investigation.
Those who died, 77-year-old Beatrice Ferrari and the band director, 43-year-old Gina Pelletieri. her friends remembering her as a caring educator and a loving mother.
Her passion the last couple of years was her baby, her son Joseph, and he was the light of her life.
Now students are left heartbroken and shocked.
I got chills, like, can't stop shaking. Just a lot of my friends are in the hospital right now.
Yeah, tough journey for these families and students. And federal records do show that this company had a strong safety record over the past 2 years. We also wondered, well, what about seatbelts? Well, it turns out that this company on its website says the bus did have seatbelts, but no doubt about it, Rebecca, this investigation is just beginning here.
And our hearts are so heavy for those families in that community this morning. Gio, thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out.
Talking about seatbelts on the bus. I don't know. I remember one year for a field trip, we went to Chicago, which, you know, is because where I live and stuff. Chicago's only like 4 hours away. And we had to take a Greyhound and stuff, and of course they had seatbelts and all that. We did not wear seatbelts. We did not put those seatbelts on. We're on a bus, we're not wearing seatbelts. That's just how things were getting done. So I don't even know why they brought that up at the end. They know that nobody was wearing seatbelts. What I don't understand is, how do you have 40 people on a bus and nobody knows what happened? Nobody knows what happened. Bus just rolls down the hill, just off the road. Nobody knows. They just suspect that it was probably maybe sort of the tire. How do you have 40 witnesses and nobody knows what happened? That's just weird to me. It's like, is everybody's brain turned off all the time? Was everyone staring at their phone, including the driver? I just don't understand. I don't understand it. It's no good. 2 people kick the bucket. They have no answers. I don't know. Those assault buses, they'll get you. Gravity's racist. I don't, like, who do you blame in this situation? I'm going to read through the chat really quick. I'm kind of surprised KJP's not even sort of on stage yet. We might be able to get through the 911 call that's next. We'll give her a second, see how it goes. 10 Man sounds like they're connected to the cartel. Yeah, that daycare could have been. Could be a distribution spot if they got kilos and stuff. Hair juicer, my stepdad is a computer forensic, or is in computer forensics. You can erase and overwrite data like 7 times and still recover it. Yeah, you got to pull the disk out of the hard drive and destroy it. If you break those disks, I don't think there's a way to recover it after that. But most people aren't going through that kind of trouble. Most people just stick magnets on their hard drive, but I don't even think that that's foolproof. Decap, we didn't ever wear seatbelts. We didn't, wait a minute, why am I reading this ridiculously? We didn't wear seatbelts ever when I went to school, and I even rode the short bus. I'm saying, like, never. We never wore seatbelts. Whether they were there or not, we were not in the business of wearing seatbelts. What's up, Dutton? Happy freedom. Worcester's wife, we were in Sheboygan last week, where the paper mill caught fire. Shelter in place, large tankers, multiple government agencies involved in the investigation caught fire again last Sunday. Sounds suspicious. I have not heard anything about that. That's crazy. I don't think Sheboygan's that far away from me. Hold on, I'm gonna throw this in the tab so I can learn about it after the live. I didn't even know any of that was a thing. I had no idea. Thanks for letting me know, Worcester's wife. Glad you guys are safe. I have to read up on that after the live. Just reading through the chat really quick, trying to decide, should we move forward with the next video, or if KJP is going to make her presence known. I mean, you could smell her before you see her. Anyways. Puff and stuff, were they wearing seatbelts? Nobody knows. That's right, putting seatbelts on school buses is not cost effective. Such BS. I don't really know why there isn't seatbelts on school buses. It was like every week when I was younger, we were hearing about... We'd get to school and my friends would come find me and be like, hey, did you hear what happened? And I'm like, no. They're like, our bus sideswiped like 3 cars this morning. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't hear about that. They're like, yeah, they said the driver was drunk. Sweet. I'm like, not on my bus. That didn't happen on my bus. I never rode the bus to school. I always rode the bus home from school. I had to walk to school. Uphill, both ways. 9 feet of snow. For real. For real. It's terrible. Put some hair on your eyes. Or whatever. Whatever makes you manly. Miser, have you covered the Gage hit and run? It's hilarious. No, I just found out about it 5 minutes ago. I didn't even know that was a thing. What's up, Sheep's Eye? Happy freedom. Prison hug Bidenomics got me working a lot. That Bidenomics, there's nothing good about it. The best thing about Old Man Walter is he came up with the MAGA King and MAGAnomics. Best two things he's ever done. See, KJP don't ever mention that. She's always talking about all the great things Old Man Walter has done. She never brings up that he invented MAGA King and MAGAnomics. Best things ever created by Old Man Walter. DeRosa, they used the Men in Black mind clear. Is that what they did? They just mind reset 40 people on the bus? That's what it sounds like. It makes way more sense than saying 40 people have no idea what happened. They were just in a bus crash. It just happened. Nobody knows. They woke up and the bus was upside down. 2 people were dead. 16 students were injured. Nobody knew what happened. The wind was racist that day. I don't know. It just... I don't know. I don't want to make too light of the situation, but it is suspicious that nobody knows anything about anything all the damn time, especially because we got phones and all that now. You know, take pictures, take video, watch this old lady get her ass whooped by 12 teenagers. Don't interfere. You might get in trouble. Just record it. Just stand there and don't say anything until something really bad happens, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I was there. I was a victim. The wind blew hard that day. Give me money. I don't know. Makes no sense. We got Peter Ducey today. Hope he makes KJP cry. Here, Juicer, wearing my MAGA King shirt right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, what color do you think she's going to be wearing today? I thought all of them women were wearing the same sweater at first. I was going to say, you know they're all synchronized. pH is the same in everything. The deuce is loose. You guys crack me up. Snooks, you're thinking dark green dress. Mr. E, I said miser the other time. Saying purple. Guess I'm Jay. We all love Peter. Not as much as KJP. She might say she's lesbianic, but she loves Peter. Guess I'm Jay. You're saying yellow. Oh, I didn't get a chance to guess. I'm saying purplish pink.
So President Biden met with countless survivors of gun violence and families mourning loved ones, and the message he hears most often is do something. Today, President Biden will build upon the historic actions he's taken through the bipartisan Safer Communities Act and the 24 executive actions he's taken to date, and announce the establishment of the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. This new office will be overseen by Vice President Harris, who has been a key leader in the Biden-Harris administration's effort to end our nation's gun violence epidemic. The office will be held by Stephanie Feldman, a long-time policy advisor to President Biden on gun violence prevention, and 2 leading gun violence prevention advocates, Greg Jackson and Rob Wilcox. They will join the administrations as deputy directors of the office. Ahead of this afternoon's event in the Rose Garden, I am pleased to welcome to the podium someone who has more authority to speak on this issue than nearly anyone else in this town. And I say that sadly. Congresswoman Lucy McBath. Through her grief and because of her perseverance, she has become a tireless advocate for gun safety reform. For some, this is an abstract debate, but not for Congresswoman McBath. She has lived with the awful and tragic reality of the gun violence epidemic in this country. I can think of no better person to share what today's news means to so many families across the country. On a personal note, she is a hero of mine. In 2018, as I was at a previous job I held, we were sitting around deciding who was going to go to the different districts across the country, obviously, to organize and knock on doors. I stood up and asked to go to Lucy McBath's district because she has so inspired me, and I know so many others out there, with her strength, with her smarts, and her vision for...
Her last job was applying lotion while being in a hole in Old Man Walter's basement.
For your first election, and it is a really, truly an honor to have you here today on this important historic moment here at the White House. The podium is yours. Congresswoman.
Thank you. Prostitute.
Well, thank you so much, Karine. And while I serve as a member of Congress today, I am speaking to you first and foremost as a mother. Just over a decade ago, I was living like any other mom in the Georgia suburbs, and I dedicated my entire life to raising my son, Jordan. Then, on November 23rd, 2012, within the course of 3.5 minutes, a man drove up next to my son and his friends as they were parked in their car at a convenience store gas station, firing 10 rounds into the car and killing my only son. In an instant, I was robbed of every dream that a mother holds for her child. I would never send Jordan off to college. I would never see him attend his high school events. He would never graduate from high school. I would never see him get married. Nobody wants to experience what I have. But my story is becoming far too common in the United States of America. Every single day, over 100 people are shot and killed in the United States. Gun violence has no boundaries. From the suburbs to the cities to rural America, over 100 families a day.
I mean, it kind of does, because the gun violence can only be where people can go, because people are committing the crimes. So there's boundaries. You'll never see gun violence in space.
Schools teach them how to hide.
You never see gun violence underwater.
And corner themselves to shield themselves from gunfire. President Biden knows the deep pain of losing a loved one. And today, he is taking decisive action by declaring loudly and clearly, we do not have to live this way.
Everyone should be armed so you can fight back.
The Office of Gun Violence Prevention
I agree.
Marks a new era in the fight to keep us all safe. The office will increase coordination between states and ensure proper implementation of the gun safety legislation that we have already passed in Congress. President Biden's actions today truly will save lives. Thank you.
Prostitute.
Oh, they're going to scissor after this.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you. So a couple things before we go into questions.
She looks like a crackhead today.
Today, extreme Republicans are voting in a House committee on 4 destructive appropriation bills as they continue to march toward a shutdown that would hurt our economy and threaten our safety. House Republicans failed multiple times this week to do their basic duty, keep the government running. Instead, they were pushed to the extremes with increasingly severe cuts to programs Americans rely on. which have no hope of passing the Senate. And having accomplished nothing this week, they have all decided to go home. That's not delivering for the American people. It's chaos. It's failing. It's actually failing the American people. Now, you don't have to take my words for it. As you know, we like to take it straight from the horse's mouth, if you will, and do quotes here.
I don't let AOC talk to me that kind of way.
Have said it. They've said it themselves. Representative Frank Lucas said there are, quote, folks who want to use this as an opportunity to blow the place up. Representative Jerry Carl said, quote, I truly think that they want it shut down, end quote. Representative Matt Gaetz said, we will have a government shutdown. We cannot blame Joe Biden. We cannot blame House Democrats, end quote. That's because House Republicans are to blame, and we've seen that week after week after week. So now the question for House Republicans is very simple. Do they continue to pursue increasingly extreme bills that would hurt their constituents by slashing education, slashing healthcare, Meals on Wheels, and much more? All while barreling toward a needless shutdown that would threaten nutrition assistance for nearly 7 million mothers and children. Is that what they want? That's a question for them. They have to answer this. Or do they keep their promise and abide by the bipartisan agreement? Two-thirds of House Republicans voted for this bipartisan agreement just 4 months ago, back in May. It's not.
Thank you so much, Dan, for the $10 donation on Rumble. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much.
So another thing before we continue, here at the White House this afternoon, the president is taking another action to save lives, signing a bipartisan law that will make the organ transplant system work better for more than 100,000 people on the waiting list for organs. Everybody knows the system has been broken for years, with heartbreaking consequences. Now, with the president's signature, we are taking significant steps to improve it. The law will break up the current monopoly system, harnessing competition to allow HHS to contract with the best entities to provide a more efficient system for the people it serves. The law will also eliminate the funding cap to allow additional resources to modernize the system, which is a critical lifeline for thousands of Americans. And this will save lives by creating a more transparent and accountable system that allows more Americans to access the organ transplants that many so desperately need. And finally, on Monday, the president will host Pacific Islands Forum leaders at the White House during the U.S. Pacific Island Forum Summit taking place here in Washington, D.C. This is the second summit with Pacific leaders that the president will be doing here. It will reaffirm his support for strengthening ties with the Pacific Islands and discuss how we address complex global challenges like tackling the existential threat of climate change, advancing economic growth, and promoting sustainable development. Over the past year, we've taken our engagement with PIF countries to new heights, and we're looking toward to continue to deepen our partnerships. And we'll have more for all of you later this afternoon. There will be a call that all of you can jump on. I believe it's at 3:30, and so stay tuned. And with that, Will?
Thanks. I have two topics. First on Senator Menendez. Did the White House know that an indictment was coming today, and does the president believe that the senator should resign?
So a couple of things. I'm going to be really careful here. This is a not comment because this is an active matter. We learned about this just like all of you, but again, this is an active matter, so I'm not going to comment.
No comment on resignation?
I'm just active matter, not going to comment.
Okay. On the UAW strike, the UAW has invited President Biden to the picket line. I'm wondering if he has any plans to go, and also the strike is expanding to 20 states. Is the president going to feel more pressure to move both parties towards a resolution?
So, on your first question, I don't have any updates to the president's schedule at this time. Just don't have anything to share. But certainly, the president appreciates Sean Fain's inviting him, including him, certainly with all the family and friends of the UAW. And so, the president has been really clear about this. He believes the union built the middle class. That's something that he has said for years now. And of course, he is a union guy who will continue to fight for UAW and also union workers. So that will not end. That is something that he has certainly been steadfast about for the past several years. So we are, of course, in touch with the parties. As you know, Acting Secretary of Labor Julie Su and also Gene Sperling have been in regular touch for the past several weeks with all parties. Certainly, the parties continue to remain at the negotiation table, which is incredibly important. And so we've communicated to each of them the importance of continuing to work 24/7 to get to a win-win agreement, as you've heard us say many times. And look, the auto industry will remain here in America. That's what the president has been working towards, investing in that in the last 2 years. And you know, UAW workers remain at the heart of a growing industry. And so we will do everything that we possibly can to help in any way that the parties would like us to. But again, they are at the negotiation table, and we believe that's incredibly important. I know your dad had some thoughts about our back and forth yesterday, so maybe we should try this again.
Same question. Same question as yesterday.
Can you repeat the question?
What do you call it when 10,000 people illegally cross the border in a single day?
So here's what I will say, and you heard me say this a couple times, and I'll say it again because it is the facts. On day one, the first day of this president's administration, he put forth a comprehensive immigration reform that we believe that was desperately needed for this country, right? As we know, and you've heard us say this many times before, we are dealing with a broken system. And no action was taken from Congress. And so what the president was able to do, he imposed consequences for those who do not have the legal basis to remain. And he has removed more than 250,000 individuals. This administration has done so since May 12th. And so we've taken action. The president has secured, he also secured record funding. And let's not forget, this record funding that the president fought for over the last year or so was opposed by the House Republicans. This is something that they opposed and didn't want to see. And so what it allowed us to do is actually hire about 25,000 more, bring on CBP agents, and really do something that was historic that we hadn't seen. And so a broken system, it's been broken for the past couple of decades. The last administration certainly gutted the immigration system for 4 years. That's what they did. And you had Speaker McCarthy and the Republicans in Congress who continuously take steps to undermine what is currently happening, trying to undermine getting border security. We saw that this week with the CR, where they put forth another piece of legislation to propose continuing to cut some important resources that's needed, whether it's CBP. 800 fewer CBP is what they wanted to do. 50,000 pounds of cocaine. That's what it would hurt, right? In trying to prevent that from coming in, right? When you think about more than 300 pounds of fentanyl, when you think about more than 700 pounds of heroin, more than 6,000 pounds of...
Oh, she knows how to say heroin today.
That's what they were trying to prevent from the work that we're trying to do, prevent from coming into the country. So we would love to do this in a bipartisan way, but we're not seeing that. What we're seeing from House Republicans is wanting to defund DHS.
But when you spoke last month,
Yeah.
and you said, we are stopping the flow at the border, is 10,000 migrants in a single day stopping the flow?
What I will say is, I just mentioned 250 individuals have been stopped who do not have the legal pathway from coming in. That
250 doesn't touch 10K.
as we are, looking at Eagle Pass, and I know this is where kind of the
It's sort of the state that you guys are suing because they put that buoy system up that has almost eliminated people from crossing the Rio Grande. So you're suing them? Is that the what you're talking about there?
And processed into custody more than 2,500 individuals and cleared the area where migrants had congregated. And that's the work of our law enforcement. That's the work of our law enforcement.
Blink, blink, blink. Blink your lies away.
Cut that. They're trying to cut that.
Totally different subject.
Sure.
There are some new relaxed standards in town. Would President Biden ever show up to an official meeting wearing shorts and a hoodie?
I'm assuming you're talking about the Senate. When you say
He was in the
relaxed
Senate
standards.
for a long time.
I
Used to
know,
be
but
the
I
president
just
of
want to
the
make sure
Senate.
we're clear what you're talking about here.
Because you think these are appropriate changes.
You know the president. You've seen him. You've seen him for the past as vice president, as senator. He dresses better than most of us here, and so I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to comment.
What?
The Senate is running their business, and the decision that they're making that is up to them. That is not for us to decide.
Last one.
Or
At a,
speak to.
at a fundraiser this week, President Biden told donors about how Charlottesville inspired his campaign, and then according to the pool, a few minutes later, he told the story again nearly word for word. What's up with that?
What I can tell you is, and I'm going to be careful not to talk about, because this was a campaign event for this upcoming campaign, obviously in 2024, so I'm not going to speak to that, put that out there.
Why? What would that do?
Look, the president was making very clear why he decided to run in 2019. He made it very clear as to what he saw in this country and what was going on. And he got 81 million votes, a historic amount of votes from Americans across the country who believed that this was a president who can help protect our democracy, get our economy back on track, and could be a leader and the adult in the room. And so that's what you saw. I'm not going to speak to comments that were made during a campaign event, but I can certainly speak to why the president is president today and why he decided to take on this job.
Oh no, you'll never tell us. You'll never tell us how he actually got there.
That's what he's going to do. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thanks,
Go ahead, Nancy.
I know you don't want to interfere with an ongoing investigation, but given the unique nature of the charges against Senator Menendez, taking bribes from a foreign country, he's the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, what message does it send to other countries if he's allowed to stay in that role?
So I believe from some of your reporting, I think there's discussions happening about his next steps, the senator's next steps. So I leave it to the leadership of the Senate, and certainly leave that to the senator's office. I have to be really careful because it is indeed an ongoing matter, and so I cannot comment on this. But as far as his leadership role in the Senate, that is something for Senate leadership to speak to.
Given that this is now the second time that he's faced really serious federal charges, would the president advise him to step down? Does he want to see him continue in the Senate?
We're going to be very, very clear about this. We're not going to get involved. It is a ongoing matter, and so we're going to leave it to the prosecutors to move forward with however they see fit, but we're not going to comment.
On the UAW, the initial plan was the president was going to send Julie Su and Gene Sperling to Detroit. They stayed here. Why was that decision made for them to stay here? And now, given that the strike is expanding, are there plans to now go ahead and send them to Detroit, or are they going to continue to make those conversations from here?
So there was a mutually agreed decision that was made this week that was believed to be the most productive way to move forward was for Gene and Julie to stay back and to help from Washington in the best way possible. That was a mutually agreed agreement. And look, we are in constant, those two are in constant conversation with all parties. They actually spoke to the parties today, and so that certainly is going to continue. We are going to help and assist in any way that they feel necessary. But look, I think the most important thing is that they're still at the negotiation table. That is incredibly important. They have been really focused on this the last 24/7, and so I think that's important. The president has always said he's a union guy. He appreciates being called that by there, and so we're going to do everything that we can to be helpful, but we are encouraged that they are continuing to have that conversation.
Thanks, Green. Beyond,
what is this?
What's your message to federal employees at risk of going unpaid?
Look, our message is this doesn't have to happen. The shutdown does not have to happen. The Republican shutdown does not have to happen. They can do their job and keep these vital programs continuing, keeping the government open, and that's our message. Our message is this should not be happening. We should not be putting American families' lives in turmoil. We should not be putting even their lives at risk, potentially, because of
what are you, buddy?
These families and Americans need. And so all they have to do is do their job. And what they're doing is putting forth incredibly extreme partisan policies forward, and and saying, hey, we have to get this done in order to keep a deal that they made back in May. And so this should not be happening. It should not be happening. And so, look, we're going to continue to be very clear. What we're saying to them privately is what we're saying to all of you publicly, is that they need to do their job.
Do you know when federal workers would miss their first paycheck?
So I don't have the specifics on any of that. The OMB director and OMB more broadly certainly is working on plans of what this could potentially look like if there is a shutdown, talking to the different agencies. So that is certainly in progress right now. Just don't have any specifics on payments or what that would look like.
And then your announcement today on the gun violence Office of Prevention of Gun Violence. That has been something advocates have been pushing for years. Why do you think it took so long?
Look, here's the thing. As you know, there was the bipartisan piece of legislation that the president was signed, and it was the first major piece of legislation on gun violence that was able to move forward in 30 years. The president did 24 executive actions because he took this seriously. He called the gun violence in this country an epidemic. And so I said this yesterday, and I've said this many times. You've heard this from the president. There are people who are sitting at their kitchen table every night who is missing a loved one because of this violence. Because you can't go to your congregation, you can't go to your grocery store and not worry about potentially getting shut down. You have kids who are going to school, who are
What about knife violence? What about car violence? What about this hand violence? Gotta make those punches in the face great again.
Accelerate what the president is put forward in his 24 executive action.
This person in front, up here, they're trying to start an insurrection. They're handsy up there, throwing up gang signs.
To continue to get the work done. And so this was the right time to do that. But let's not forget the work that the president has done the last 2 years to get us to where we are. But more work needs to be done. He's not going to stop calling on Congress to continue to do the work that they need to do to protect our families from gun violence. But this is an opportunity to accelerate what the president has been able to do to protect communities, to really deal with gun violence, and that's what the importance of this office is.
Thanks, Karine. Did President Biden and other Five Eyes leaders raise their concerns about Canada's allegations of Indian involvement in the murder of a Canadian citizen at the recent G20 meeting?
So I know that National Security Advisor spoke to this yesterday, and I know there's been some new reporting. I don't have anything to certainly, and this is something that Jake said himself. He was not going to comment about private diplomatic conversations. I'm not going to do that either. Just following what the National Security Advisor said, and so. Just not going to comment on that. Obviously, we are deeply concerned as he
spit it out.
And so what the Prime Minister has referenced here, the Prime Minister of Canada, and so we remain in regular contact with the Canadian government and Canadian partners. But of course, I'm just not going to comment on diplomatic conversations from here.
Jake did also say that the issue was being raised at the highest levels with the Indian government.
This poor fella, his mom used to beat him with the ugly stick.
With them about this as well.
So we have engaged, as Jake said, our National Security Advisor with the Indian government, but certainly we're not going to get into our private diplomatic conversations, as he said as well. But yes, there has been conversations with our partners in the Indian government, as Jake stated yesterday.
In another realm of diplomatic conversations, can you say whether or not President Biden promised President Zelensky yesterday that the U.S. would provide the weapons known as ATACMS?
So again, with this, I'm just not going to confirm the reportings that are out there. Look, and Jake said this as well when he was here. The president has long said in the past that ATACMS are not off the table, but I just don't have any.
What is an ATACM?
Look, I will say this more broadly is that
is that a new gender? What is that?
Between the two leaders, between President Zelensky and President.
Are we going to see another rainbow flag on the screen? Something new?
to the world that we will continue to support Ukraine. And let's not forget, we also announced a significant weapons package yesterday to continue to show that support that we have to Ukraine. To support their counter offensive and strengthen their air defenses against Russian attacks, which is our fourth package, as you know. So we're going to continue to show our support for Ukraine with these security assistance, and so that is our commitment. We will be there as long as it takes. I just cannot confirm those reports.
Back on the auto workers strike, there's been some behind-the-scenes talk about a loaner grant program to help the auto suppliers. Is there any movement on that? And if a program would happen, could that be potentially affected by a government shutdown?
So look, there's negotiations happening right now. I'm not going to get into the details of the negotiations at this time. I'm going to let them we're going to give them the space. I'll let them have the conversations. We are encouraged that they continue to be at the table. I'm just not going to go point to point on what's being discussed or what's being put forward.
Is there any discussions in the administration about helping the suppliers as this strike continues?
Don't have anything to share at this time from how we're going to potentially move forward. What we are encouraged of is that they are continuing to stay at the table, and that's what we want to see. And so I'm not going to get into hypotheticals at this point. Go ahead, Karen.
Thanks, Karine. A possible government shutdown would coincide with the restart date for federal student loan payments that starts on October 1st. Is there any consideration right now to pushing that date back if there were a shutdown?
It's a really good question. We are right now, OMB is having those discussions with agencies at the moment to see how to move forward if there is a potential shutdown. Don't have the specifics of what the different programs, like the student loan program that the different parts of it that we've announced is going to look like, because those conversations are just now happening.
Can you say from the White House how worried you would be if there were Education Department employees furloughed, who would obviously be a part of this, but if there was a shutdown and those employees weren't there, how concerned would you be that this would not go smoothly then starting on October 1st?
So look, as you know, the student debt relief program the president put forth is incredibly important to him, right? It is something that he believed, the reason he put it out there was to make sure that we give Americans a little bit breathing room, especially coming out of the pandemic. And so it was clearly part of his economic policy to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, especially, again, as we're coming out of this pandemic. Don't want to get too far into the weeds into this.
Don't have two brain cells to rub together.
Starting that OMB is having, so don't want to get ahead of that, but certainly we're looking into it, we're planning accordingly.
Yes, Karine, also on the shutdown, you mentioned yesterday that potentially food safety would be under threat in the shutdown. I understand that in previous years, USDA has considered those sorts of inspections as essential. Is there something else that you think will change that would make it non-essential?
So those conversations are happening as to what the effects might be, right, to those certain programs and how these agencies are going to move forward. I don't have anything more.
She means you just caught her making shit up. That's what she's saying right now. You caught her.
People to know what this means with this Republican shutdown that they're certainly seeming to barrel forward with.
It's a Republican shutdown because you guys are spending more money than you're getting. Huh. That's weird how that works.
How this is going to affect Americans across the country. Okay.
Yeah, Karine, thanks. Can you expound on what the president is doing and what he will be doing to avoid a government shutdown? I understand you all have been saying that Congress needs to do its job, but surely the president must want to do something to avert this. And is there a possibility that he would at all alter his travel schedule next week?
Look, I don't have anything to speak to on the president's travel schedule, but the president did his job. He did. He helped broker a bipartisan agreement back in May to move forward with a budget that, as I mentioned, 2/3 of Republicans voted on. He did his part. So a deal is a deal. This is not something we can fix. The best plan is to not have a shutdown. The best plan is for House Republicans to stop their partisan political play and not do this to hurt Americans across the country. That's the plan. The plan is for them to actually do their job. The president found it so important, right, to make sure that there was a bipartisan budget agreement that he did. He helped broker that.
As long as they're still writing checks to the blue and yellow country, I don't think anybody cares about any of this. It's their fault they don't have money. They need to stop writing these checks. That's what they need to do.
And so, this is for them to fix. This is something that House Republicans have to fix. And then I'll go back.
A couple of things I'd like to follow up on. First of all, when you referenced the signing of the organ donation, if we had coverage of the signing of the organ donation, that would certainly expand attention to that important issue. So just as an ongoing request that coverage of bill signings would be.
I appreciate that. Yep.
Following up on the UAW and so forth, isn't it an acknowledgement that the offer to send Julie Sue and Gene Sperling was a misstep because they have not gone, and you want to give this space?
No, I don't think I wouldn't call it a misstep, because I said it was mutually agreed upon that they would stay back as they continue to have their conversation. And when I mean they, meaning the parties who are a part of this negotiation process, obviously the big three and UAW. And so wouldn't call it a misstep at all. I mean, again, it was a mutually agreed that it would be most productive for Gene and Julie to stay back and do the meetings and from Washington D.C. Now, let's not forget, this is something that they've been doing for the past several weeks. It's nothing new, and so we appreciated that again, mutually agreed. And so, if there's travel that needs to happen, we'll certainly assess that when the time comes. But what is the most important thing here? What is the most important thing is that all parties continue to have this conversation and to continue to negotiate, and that's, I think, what is the most important part of this.
Following up on Peter's comment about the fundraiser for, we all understand these are off camera. We were not witnesses to that except for our pool that was present. But for the president to retell a story, we've all heard him tell many times in full. And stipulating that we often, as human beings, we misspeak, we do things, I've done it myself, so stipulating all of that. Is it any concern that he would fully retell a story in the same space, in the same event?
Sometimes we speak as well from here and retell a story. But look, I think it's important to note that the president was speaking, as you said, at a fundraiser, and he was speaking from his heart. He was speaking about why he's decided to do this. And you hear the president talk about this, it's always incredibly emotional for him because he didn't have to. He went through an incredibly difficult time when he was deciding to jump into the race. And so, but he saw, as somebody who served as senator, as somebody who served as vice president, what was going on in this country under the last president.
So
Charlottesville.
Knowingly and mindfully that he wanted to retell.
I have not spoken to the president about it, certainly, but what I can say is the passion that he has when he tells that story and how important it is for him to have done something because he believed, our democracy was at stake. And that's and what he saw. I mean, you all saw what we saw in Charlottesville. It was devastating. It was a part of our country that was devastating to see. And so, he spoke to that passionately, and that's why he's in this. He's in this because he believes that he can help move this country forward in a way that brings it to its best, right? When he talks about possibilities, and that's why he was speaking to in an incredibly passionate way. Okay, go ahead, Gary.
Thanks, Corinne. While gun violence impacts communities all across the country, Black, Jewish, and marginalized communities often fall at the intersection of gun violence and hate-fueled violence. In many parts of the country, those who commit hate crimes can still have legal access to a gun. How important is it for this new office, to address gun violence intersectionally?
Oh, it is incredibly important. When we talk about gun violence, it's not one community that's affecting, as you just laid out, it's multiple communities. So this is something that is at their intersection. It is so important that we do not forget a community here. As you know, this is going to be overseen by VP Harris, Vice President Harris, which is going to be incredibly important. We have Steph Feldman, who's going to be the director, and she'll have 2 deputies. We're taking this very seriously, and this is about all communities, as we hear the horrible stories. Right? We hear stories of different brown and Black communities, rural communities, urban communities being affected by gun violence. And enough is enough. Remember what I said at the top of the briefing. The president hears from multiple victims, and the thing that they say to him is do something. And it doesn't matter where he is around the country, who he's comforting during these awful attacks. That's what he hears, because all of these communities are feeling the same thing. They're losing loved ones. And so it's going to be incredibly important to make sure that we don't leave any community behind. This is not a president
Lying
that
makes
does
you
that.
weak.
This is the president that talks about being inclusive. And so that's what you're going to see from this office. What this office is going to do, as I said moments ago, it's going to accelerate the work that the president has already put forth. The bipartisan law on gun violence. When you think about the 24 executive actions that he's taken, it's going to help accelerate
Executive orders is not a good thing, you idiot.
so that we can get to a place where we're not sending our kids being frightened to school because there might be.
How about daycare? I'm hearing daycare is not a great place anymore either, KJP. You guys doing anything about that?
That's the importance of this office, is to really get to work and accelerate the work that we've already been doing.
Thanks. On Ukraine, after Zelensky's visit yesterday, Biden said that he was counting on a good adjustment of Congress to keep approving it for Ukraine. How confident is he that Republicans are going to keep approving additional funding in an election year?
So, look, this is something that Jake Sullivan spoke to, our national security advisor spoke to yesterday. As you know, he's been very much involved in having conversations on the Hill with congressional members, both Democrat and Republican, sitting down, talking through the importance of continuing the funding. We have said over and over again how much we appreciate the strong bipartisan support that we've seen for Ukraine in helping them fight in this war as they're fighting for their democracy. So we're going to continue to be confident. We're going to continue to have those conversations, and we believe, and that's what when I said earlier about how important it was for the two leaders to have this bilateral engagement yesterday. The message that it sends is that we should that we are going to continue to support Ukraine. So we're confident in that support, that bipartisan support for Ukraine, and so we're just going to continue to have those conversations.
So Israel, Netanyahu said today that he believes Israel and Saudi Arabia can achieve a historic peace deal and that President Biden can clinch the deal. But he also said that we should not give the Palestinians a veto. How confident is the White House that Israel and Saudi Arabia will normalize relations? Is it possible a deal without the Palestinians? Would Biden still like it? I mean, if it doesn't include the Palestinians?
So a couple of things, and this is something that Jake Sullivan spoke to when he spoke to normalization. So many of the key elements of a pathway towards normalizations are now on the table, as you just stated, and there is a broad understanding of these elements, which we're of course not going to discuss publicly. So the specifics require an incredible amount of legwork, discipline, rigor, and all of the stakeholders in this are applying that as we speak. This is coming from Jake yesterday. And that said, we don't have a formal framework here. We don't have the terms ready to be signed. There's certainly lots of work to do, and we're going to work through it. Look, a normalization agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia will include a serious component dealing with the fundamental issue between Israeli and Palestinian. This is to your question. But I certainly don't want to get ahead of a process. There's a lot of legwork to be done, and don't have a formal framework. And so we're going to work through it, and certainly not going to get into the specifics from here.
Thank you, Corinne. Just to follow up on the new office on preventing gun violence, I was wondering if there's an international component to the scope of this new office. For example, will it be able to help curb the trafficking of illegal guns to Mexico from bordering U.S. states?
So our gun policy has always been comprehensive. And of course, this office is going to continue to talk to and be in regular contact with NSC and Homeland Security team. And so we're going to do everything that we can to combat international trafficking and smuggling as well. And so this is...
You ain't gonna do anything. You ain't gonna do anything. Half those people coming across the border probably got AKs in their backpack. We already know they got fentanyl.
If I may, our sources say that U.S. and Chinese officials are still working towards a Biden-Xi meeting in San Francisco on the sidelines of APEC in November. Can you confirm that?
I don't have anything more to what the president has shared on this. I think
she's looking run down. Thank you so much, Tiger Jaw, for joining the membership program over on Rumble, and welcome to the family. You're officially a hooligan. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Karine. Follow-up in regards to the gun violence prevention office that the president will announce in a few moments. Why can't the Domestic Policy Council do the same work that this new office is setting up? Can you explain what the Domestic Policy Council does versus what this new office will do, and if there is any overlap between those two offices?
So look, this office is going to implement and expand upon the key executive actions, right? It's going to zero in and focus on those key executive actions, get that moving, accelerate that, and also the legislative action. That is what it's going to do. And look, I said it, the president has said it, you're going to hear from him in a few moments, and the vice president. This is an epidemic. Gun violence is an epidemic in our country. And so we need to do everything that we can, and we believe having this office is going to be, is continuing to show the president's commitment, but it's going to be incredibly important in pushing what the president has put forward. And that's what you're going to see. And I think having it separate and apart from the DPC shows our commitment, yes, but also shows that we are taking this an extra step, right? An extra step on how seriously we're taking it and how important it's going to be. So this is the president saying he wants to save more lives. This is what we're going to try and do. We're going to continue to see what we can do to save more lives.
And then a separate question in regards to President Zelensky's visit to Washington yesterday. He was up on Capitol Hill. He met with members of both parties. From what you've heard, was he able to change any minds, particularly those House Republicans that are opposed to providing any additional aid to Ukraine?
So I'll leave that to the House Republicans to speak to. Their meetings with the President Zelensky, as you know, he met with them and shared, certainly his, when he speaks about this, as he's dealing with this, he speaks about it in such a passionate way. And when President Zelensky speaks, people listen because he knows what he's going through every day, with his country's going through, the people in his country is going through, and we have said how bravely they are fighting for their democracy and for their freedom. So that's up to House Republicans to speak to, or House congressional members to speak to. What we can do is continue to do what we showed yesterday, right? We announced another security assistance. Again, you saw the bilateral engagement between the two leaders, which we believe showed our commitment to Ukraine. You heard from the president at UNGA speak to this in a very forceful way, what this means if we were not to continue to support Ukraine. And so the president's going to continue to speak very forcefully to show how much he supports Ukraine, but that is up to Congress. But with all of that said, we appreciate the bipartisan support that we have seen for the funding for Ukraine, and we are optimistic that that's going to continue.
One more.
Great. Thank you, Karine.
Good to see you, Christina. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been. Thank you for taking my question.
Absolutely.
If there is so much at stake in case of a government shutdown, is the president willing to support or even broker negotiations between more moderate Republicans and Democrats to help Leader McCarthy avoid the shutdown? Is there any chance for bipartisanship here?
So look, Christina, I appreciate the question, really do. And I'm just going to reiterate what I said moments ago. This is something for House Republicans to deal with. It is their job. It is one of their basic duties to keep the government open. It truly is. And instead, they're going in a very bipartisan way, in extreme ways, in putting forth policies and CRs that's going to hurt American families. The president did his job, right? He helped broker a bipartisan legislation that 2/3 of that legislation was voted by Republicans. And so a deal is a deal. They need to stick to what they agreed upon, what they themselves voted on. And so that is for Speaker McCarthy to figure out how he's going to move forward here. But this is for them to fix. This is for them to fix. So I'll leave it there. Have a great weekend, y'all. I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
Prostitute.
Run, run, run. She had to run up out of there. I wonder what Peter's dad said. Because yesterday she tried to shut him down quick. Peter went to ask a question, sprinkle a little humor on it as he does. She didn't like that. She went to say her little deal. He was trying to add his 2 cents to it. She got all flustered and was like, no, I'm not answering your question now. Fuck you, Peter. And then, went on to somebody else. But then today she was like, I heard your dad didn't like what happened yesterday, so why don't we'll call on you now. So he asked the same exact questions yesterday. Then, of course, she gave him a dog shit answer because that's what she does. Then she had to skedaddle up out of there. I don't know, a whole bunch of nothing. As always, for those press briefings. We got one more video to cover, and it is hilarious in a sad kind of way. This titled 911 Call Released from Military Pilot Who Ejected from the F-35 Fighter Jet that they couldn't find for 2 days or whatever. The majority of the video is listening to the 911 call. Whoever's working for dispatch in that area, they couldn't take a Wendy's order. They need a new job. They should be in charge of watching pet rocks while other people are on vacation, because their brain doesn't 100% work properly. And when you're in the middle of an emergency, the last thing you want to do is go through a over-the-phone interview with dispatch operator. Either way, we're gonna get this covered. This is just, I guess, a final follow-up from the missing jet that they found supposedly. Again, when we covered that, there was no plane debris. It was just trees knocked over. Some were speculating it could have been from all the storms we seem to have every week. We just have natural disaster storms happening constantly. So this is the final end of this whole jet story here. It's sad but funny.
To the fighter jet that crashed over the weekend and went missing for 24 hours. This morning, we're hearing the 911 call from the pilot who ejected, calling for an ambulance and to report the missing jet. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz is in Washington with that. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Rebecca. It was a 911 call like no other. A remarkable exchange between a bewildered homeowner, the dazed fighter pilot who landed in the homeowner's backyard, and a 911 dispatcher who doesn't quite know what to make of it.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I guess we got a pilot at our house, and he says he got ejected. So he ejected from the plane. So we just see if we could get some ambulance, please.
I'm sorry, what happened?
We got a pilot in the house, and I guess he landed in my backyard, and we were trying to see if we could get a ambulance to the house, please.
And that Marine Corps pilot who had bailed out of his malfunctioning $100 million Stealth fighter jet near the Charleston airport was standing right next to the homeowner and joined the 911 call.
47. So we had a military jet crash. I'm the pilot. We need to get rescue rolling. I'm not sure where the airplane is. It would have crash landed somewhere. I ejected.
Okay, I understand, sir. Okay, just to confirm, how many people are hurt?
Well, I'm the only one. I'm not sure about my wingman. Ma'am, I'm a pilot in a military aircraft, and I ejected. So I just rode a parachute down to the ground. Can you please send an ambulance?
The dispatcher, still apparently unaware, she is talking to the actual pilot.
How far did he fall?
I was at 2,000 feet.
Okay, and what caused the fall?
An aircraft failure.
Gravity.
Serious bleeding?
I don't know. I can't see myself. No, you look fine. You just couple scratches.
What did the other person say?
I feel okay. My back just hurts.
And the 47-year-old pilot, still unaware his aircraft was likely still airborne.
Has there been a report of an airplane crash?
I have not seen any come up yet.
The jet eventually crashing some 60 miles north of where the pilot had ejected. It took nearly 28 hours to locate the jet. A Marine Corps official now saying it was a combination of things, including the stealth jet's design that keeps it flying after ejection and the bad weather. But there are still many unanswered questions about the search and what caused the malfunction in the jet that forced the pilot to eject. George?
Martha, I think that's the craziest 911 call I ever heard.
Think so.
Okay, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for...
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, first of all, Why is this lady's eyes on opposite side of her head? She's like a chameleon. Poor woman. I don't know why God made her look like that. What a terrible phone call to 911. I've made my fair share of calls to 911, unfortunately. It's never been a great time, as most people, when they have to call 911. Never had to do a full interview, though. Never had to go through all that. It was, here's the information, send who you need. I'm getting off the phone. I ain't got time to talk to you. She said, will you like add bacon on that for an extra 50 cents? No, lady, I need help. But are you sure we can supersize it for another 20 cents? You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna walk, okay? It's fine. I'll dust myself off. Stupid. Terrible dispatch operator. She should be fired. She should be fired. That should go down on her permanent record. Never allowed to operate a phone or take an order ever again. Just terrible. Terrible. Thank God it wasn't like a real severe emergency. You know, his legs are broken. He pushed his knees up through his chest cavity. Like, you know, thank God it wasn't like that. Because she'd be like, tell me where it hurts. And he's like gurgling his own blood and stuff. She's like, I'm sorry, sir. Can you repeat that? Like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'd have been screaming at the phone. She would have needed 911. But can I talk to your managers? I've had enough. I've had enough of your bullshit. I don't know. I'm going to read through the chat really quick. That is all the coffee I had for you hooligans today. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and we're going to wrap things up in just a moment. Matt, the jet was sold to another country. You would call the base, not 911. See, and I think something suspicious happened with the jet too. The story doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the 911 call just puts the icing on the cake. I don't know what, maybe he did call base. I don't know. The poor homeowners stuck in that. Nobody won in that situation. That was just a total fail all the way around. Salt Ragu, I lost a jet once. Somebody posted and gilded the like eBay ads. People are selling it. They're like, you want to buy a jet? I got one, 8 million. It's good stuff. Us Americans, we don't take anything seriously. Not the ones with brains anyway. The ones without brains, they take everything way too seriously. Cash flow, have they gotten the black box from the jet yet? That's a great question. That's a great question because they haven't even mentioned any of that. Yeah, I appreciate you being here, Bunny Game. Happy freedom. Mr. Beansy Beans, do a 21 goat scream, please. Yeah, that was terrible dispatch operator. God. Couldn't imagine. Something really terrible happens. Your kid gets hit by a car, God forbid. You call 911, I need help right now, and she's just talking that crap. I don't even think she'd be good as a phone sex operator. She should just tap out. Can you wash dishes? McDonald's is hiring. They'll give you $15 an hour to wash dishes. I don't know what dispatch operator pays. Hopefully they don't pay her nothing. I hope she's a volunteer because she's terrible at her job. Anyways, hooligans, I'm going to drop this link to you guys and gals in the chat. And that's all there is. There's only guys and gals. Don't get it twisted. Take advantage of all the links. Go scroll down the list and all that. If you would like to donate to keep the show rolling, you are welcome to do so. Or if you'd like to join one of the membership programs for a platform that you hang out on the most, that is also welcome. You can find both merch stores. One's a little spicier than the other one. It's all hooligan goodness, though. You can find both of them, but what I ask is that you join Gilded. Gilded is free, and it's currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Every time we go live, the hooligans are in there 24/7, keeping the conversation going, and we have a news board that is constantly being updated with news from all over the world, so you can stay up to date. Definitely go join Gilded. You can access it from your desktop or your phone. I have it on my phone, so I can receive alerts anytime somebody needs me. It's also a really great way to get a hold of me. I may not respond right away. There's a lot of people constantly messaging me, but I will get back to you. You can ask Edward. He writes me a million messages, and then I get back to him like once a week, and I'm terrible about that. But if you are trying to get a hold of me, Gilded is a good way to do so. Let's see. Guess MJ, one sells chapstick. It sounds like we need to come out with our own chapstick. That's what we need, some hooligan chapstick. I'm gonna see about making some shirts and stuff. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, hooligans, it is that time again. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kit Daniels running around in the background here. Caught it out of the corner of my eye. I was like, what is that? Big Class Panther. That's how it goes. Well, I appreciate all of you hooligans being here. We will be live later today, 6 p.m. for some gaming. We're still playing Starfield. I think we might actually beat the main storyline today. Today may be the last day of the main storyline. We'll see how it goes. If you'd like to hang out and play the game with us for a couple hours, just to forget your problems of the world and hang out and have fun for a little bit, you can watch on Kick, you can watch on jeffmaclive.com, or you can go join Jeff Mac Gaming. You can find the link to that channel at the bottom of the link tree if you'd like to come hang out with us. For everybody else, we will be live tomorrow. What is today? Today's Freedom Friday. Happy Freedom Friday, you hooligans. Tomorrow is Free Speech Saturday, which means we will not be live on YouTube because Saturdays are for free speech. And so we will be having Coffee with Hooligans tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, as always. And you can watch anywhere except for YouTube because we're not dealing with censorship on Saturday. Saturdays are for free speech. So I will see you guys either later today or I'll see you tomorrow. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate all of you hooligans, and I would not be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.